A world where cars never stop.
No fuel stations. No charging cables. No waiting. Just endless motion, powered by the very energy that surrounds us. For decades, humankind has dreamed of breaking free from the limitations of fuel and electricity grids. We built faster engines, longer-lasting batteries, and more efficient systems, but every innovation carried a cost: pollution, mining, waste, and dependence on finite resources. Yet, in the shadows of global innovation, something extraordinary began to take shape. It started as a whisper, the idea of an infinite energy car. A vehicle that could power itself, endlessly recycling or generating its own energy without needing to plug in or refuel. At first, the idea sounded like science fiction. Engineers dismissed it. Economists said it would never be profitable. But a few visionaries refused to stop believing. Among them stood names that have redefined technology itself: Elon Musk, who made electric cars a global reality, and Maxwell Chikumbutso, the Zimbabwean inventor whose prototypes challenged everything we thought we knew about physics and power. The question is no longer, can it be built? The real question is, what happens if it actually works? Because if cars could truly generate infinite energy, the entire structure of modern transportation would collapse and be reborn. For centuries, energy has dictated how we move. Coal powered the first steam engines. Oil created the age of gasoline. Electricity birthed the EV revolution. Each step brought progress, but also dependence. Charging stations, fuel refineries, massive power grids, the backbone of civilization, but also its greatest limitation. Now imagine a breakthrough so profound that it erases the need for all of that. A car that converts ambient energy, electromagnetic waves, motion, heat, even air resistance, into continuous power. A system so self-sufficient that it could drive for years without a single recharge. It's a concept that's been laughed at, hidden, and feared. Because if infinite energy becomes real, entire industries would fall.
Oil corporation worth trillions.
Electric utilities that control the world's grids. Even governments that tax fuel and electricity, all would face disruption. And that's exactly why the story of the infinite energy car feels more like a secret war than a simple innovation. In 2020's America, whispers began spreading online, videos claiming to show self-powered vehicles driving without batteries. Some called it fraud. Others said it was the beginning of a suppressed revolution. One video showed a small EV prototype cruising endlessly, its dashboard untouched, the battery meter stable. The inventor claimed it used magnetic resonance energy transfer, harvesting unseen power fields to sustain motion. Skeptics shouted, impossible. Supporters shouted, proof. But one thing was undeniable: people were watching. Millions of views. Debates across social media. Scientists quietly revisiting old equations. Could something once labeled perpetual motion actually have found a loophole? That's where Elon Musk entered the conversation. In a 2025 interview, when asked about self-powered cars, he smiled slightly, not a denial, not a confirmation, and simply said, energy is everywhere. The question is whether we've learned how to capture it efficiently yet. The world caught that single word, yet. Was Musk hinting at something Tesla was already developing behind closed doors? Rumors emerged of a secret Tesla division testing energy loop propulsion systems, cars that reused kinetic and electromagnetic energy in real time. Satellite images of a new testing facility in Nevada only fueled speculation. The media called it Project Infinite. Tesla never confirmed, but they never denied either. Meanwhile, inventors like Maxwell Chikumbutso were already claiming they had cracked the code, demonstrating electric vehicles that required no external charge, powered entirely by internal electromagnetic systems. The technology, if real, could rewrite every law of economics, engineering, and energy. Imagine a Tesla that never plugs in. A Ford that powers itself forever. A world where mobility is not limited by resources, but only by imagination. But let's pause for a moment. Can it really be true? From a physics standpoint, the phrase infinite energy raises red flags. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. So if a car seems to create its own power endlessly, what it's actually doing is harnessing energy from its environment, in forms we might not yet fully understand or measure. In 2025, several universities began exploring the idea of ambient energy harvesting, extracting power from radio waves, vibration, and heat differentials. The results were small but stunning: tiny circuits that could power sensors indefinitely, nano-generators that turned human motion into electricity, and microcoils that absorbed stray electromagnetic energy.
Floating through the air.
Now, scale that up 1,000 times. Combine it with regenerative braking, ultra-efficient motors, quantum-grade capacitors, and suddenly the line between battery and generator begins to blur. That's what infinite energy cars truly represent. Not magic, but mastery. A future where the car is not just a consumer of energy. It's a producer. But there's a reason why the world doesn't see this everywhere yet. Because revolutionary technology doesn't just disrupt machines, it disrupts money. Imagine if one invention could make oil obsolete. Would every government, corporation, and investor simply allow it? Or would they bury it until the world was ready, or until they could control it? That's the darker side of innovation. Several inventors throughout history claim to have developed self-powered energy systems, only to vanish from headlines, lose funding, or be silenced by legal and corporate barriers. From Nikola Tesla's wireless energy experiments to modern independent engineers building magnetic generators, every time the promise of infinite power rises, it meets resistance. Because power, both electrical and political, is never freely given.
Yet, change always find a way.
In 2025, as energy prices surge and climate concerns rise, the world is once again searching for answers. The timing couldn't be more perfect. Humanity is ready, not just technologically, but psychologically, to accept a new form of energy independence. Imagine the impact: automobile roads filled with cars that never need charging. Globe showing America's a world where electricity bills vanish. Factories powered by self-contained systems. Homes running off their own microgenerators. Transportation is just the beginning.
Infinite Energy coup d'ignite à complète civilisational reboot. From the way we travel to the way we live.
And at the center of it all, the car becomes the symbol of ultimate freedom.
No more dépendance. No more limit. No more fear of running out. Just drive, endlessly.
But every revolution comes with a price. If infinite energy cars truly emerge, they could destroy trillion-dollar industries overnight. The oil trade would collapse. Power grids would become obsolete.
Battery manufacturing, mining, and charging infrastructure, all gone.
That's why, according to insiders, companies are moving cautiously. Not to suppress the technology, but to control its rollout. Because whoever owns infinite energy, owns the future. Governments know it.
Corporations know it.
And visionaries like Musk? They're not just building cars anymore. They're building ecosystems that can evolve into energy empires. From Tesla's solar roofs to SpaceX's energy-dense propulsion research, every piece of the puzzle points toward one ultimate goal: self-sustaining motion. A car that fuels itself. A planet that powers itself. A civilization no longer bound by consumption, but by creation.
That is not fantasy anymore.
It's the direction we're heading. And if this breakthrough truly reaches the streets, it won't just change how we drive. It will change how we think about power itself. Because infinite energy isn't just a scientific concept. It's a revolution of mindset, a declaration that dependence is optional. And that realization might be the most powerful energy source of all. Beneath the surface of the clean electric revolution, a new race is unfolding, a race that the world was never meant to see. Governments deny it.
Corporations y dit.
But deep in secret labs, abandoned hangars, and quiet research centers, humanity is inching toward one of the most dangerous and powerful breakthroughs in history: limitless motion. The public still believes the future of cars lies in batteries. Bigger, denser, faster charging. But behind the scenes, a few daring engineers are chasing something entirely different: cars that don't need batteries at all. Whispers of this pursuit began long before Tesla or Rivian ever hit the road. It traces back to Nikola Tesla, the man who envisioned the Earth itself as a power source, a giant conductor of free wireless energy. He dreamed of cars powered directly by the air around them. No wires, no fuel, no cost. But in 1943, Tesla died before his technology could see the light of day. His notes disappeared, seized by authorities. And since then, that dream was labeled impossible. But what if it wasn't? In 2015, a Zimbabwean inventor named Maxwell Chikumbutso shocked the world with a small green van. the greener power machine, GPM. It ran without charging. No fuel. No external input. He claimed it converted radio frequency, RF energy, into usable electric current, an internal cycle that powered the vehicle indefinitely. The scientific community dismissed it instantly. Perpetual motion, they said. Violation of thermodynamics. But even the loudest critics couldn't explain why it worked, or how it kept running long after the cameras stopped rolling. Soon after, Chikumbutso disappeared from mainstream coverage. His videos were taken down. His patents stalled. And yet, whispers kept growing, claiming his tech had been quietly acquired by private companies for further study.
Coïncidence?
Or a familiar pattern repeating. Meanwhile, in the United States, the EV industry was entering its golden age. Tesla had conquered the electric car market. Ford and GM were catching up. But behind all the glossy commercials and green slogans, there was tension. Every major automaker faced the same challenge: energy bottleneck. Batteries were expensive, heavy, and dependent on scarce minerals like lithium and cobalt. The future couldn't be fully sustainable if the foundation itself was unsustainable. That's when small startups began experimenting with magnetic drive systems, setups using permanent magnets, flywheels, and electromagnetic resonance to maintain continuous motion with minimal loss. Not perpetual motion, but something close, practically infinite range through constant internal regeneration. The results? Quietly promising, but also quietly dangerous, because if such systems worked at scale, it would collapse the trillion-dollar battery industry overnight. In 2023, leaks began surfacing on tech forums. Photos of strange-looking EV prototypes with no visible charging ports. Schematics showing energy loop circuits, converting kinetic energy directly back into high-capacity storage without traditional inverters. And one leaked label caught global attention: Tesla Quantum Loop Project, confidential. Elon Musk never confirmed its existence, but when asked about it on X, formerly Twitter, he replied cryptically, "Everything moves in loops. The universe runs on them. So should our cars." That single sentence set the internet on fire. Was he teasing a self-powering Tesla model? Weeks later, satellite imagery captured new structures near Tesla's Nevada facility, buildings with heavy electromagnetic shielding, and round chambers believed to be testing environments. Independent researchers claimed these were energy resonance labs, where cars could test electromagnetic motion under sealed conditions. Tesla, as always, refused to comment. But one thing was certain: something big was coming. Behind all of this lies a deep, unspoken truth. The pursuit of infinite energy isn't just about cars, it's about control. If a car can generate its own power, it breaks free from the grid. If millions of cars can do it, the grid becomes irrelevant. No more utility companies. No more fuel dependence. No more government leverage over energy supply. That's both liberating and terrifying. Because in a world where every person could generate their own energy, power shifts from nations to individuals. And history shows, those who hold centralized control never surrender it easily. Let's imagine what happens when such technology finally escapes containment. A small startup releases an open-source self-charging EV. The car uses magnetic field oscillation and quantum capacitors to generate continuous motion. At first, the public calls it fake. Then, independent tests confirm it works.
Au verdict, the world change.
Fuel companies crash. Charging networks go bankrupt. Electricity demand plummets. Governments panic, unable to tax power the way they taxed fuel. The world's most valuable resource suddenly becomes useless. And for the first time in human history, transportation becomes truly free. But freedom always comes with consequences.
Without control, chaos follow.
When anyone can drive forever, where does regulation end? When cars no longer stop, how do we balance sustainability, safety, and power distribution? The dream of infinite motion sounds perfect, but perfection often hides its price.
At the path of this global shift, something deeper still.
Because infinite energy isn't just about the physics of power, it's about the philosophy of progress. For centuries, humans have built their empires on scarcity. Scarcity of food, water, money, and energy. That scarcity fuels economies. It drives wars.
It define human behavior.
If infinite energy becomes real, scarcity disappears. And when scarcity disappears, so does control. Imagine a society where everyone has unlimited mobility, unlimited electricity, unlimited opportunity.
Borders lose meaning. Corporations lose leverage.
Governments lose dominance. That's why this isn't just a technological revolution, it's an ideological one. And it's coming faster than anyone expects. As of 2025, new patents continue to emerge quietly under obscure names: ambient energy conversion, closed-loop kinetic drive, zero-point extraction.
Différents words forts de some forbidden dream.
In global conferences, experts cautiously hint at the next phase of transportation: energy autonomy. A polite phrase for what could mean total disruption. And while the mainstream media still debates range anxiety and battery swaps, the real pioneers are working underground, rewriting the very blueprint of mobility. Tesla's secret factory, rumored to be buried deep in the Nevada desert, is said to house a prototype that has run continuously for over a year without external charging. If that's true, it's not just a milestone.
It's the beginning of Energy 2.0, a civilisation where motion never ends.
So what happens next?
We stand at the edge of two worlds.
One is familiar, filled with stations, bills, and limits. The other is uncharted, silent, boundless, self-sustaining. The car has always been a symbol of human freedom. But the infinite energy car? That's something more, a symbol of human awakening. Because when power is no longer something you buy, when motion is no longer something you fuel, you realize something profound. You were never chasing energy.
You were chasing indépendance.
And for the first time in history, it might finally be within reach. When a single invention can erase an entire industry, the world doesn't react with applause, it reacts with fear. If infinite energy cars truly reach the public, the global system that has powered the modern age will tremble. Because this isn't just another gadget, another electric car, or another tech update. It's a reset button for civilization. Think about it, every war fought in the last 100 years, directly or indirectly, has roots in energy. Oil fields, gas routes, resources.
Energy is power, and power chape nation.
Now imagine a world where that monopoly is gone. Where the ability to move, build, and create doesn't depend on billion-dollar corporations or fragile grids. Where every person becomes their own power source. That's not evolution, that's a revolution.
The shockwave Bejinquietly.
A few prototype cars hit the roads, silent, sleek, endlessly running. People film them, test them, and realize what they're seeing: the end of fuel dependency.
Within weeks, the footage goes viral.
Within months, the markets collapse. Oil prices nosedive to record lows. Battery giants face bankruptcy. Energy ministers hold emergency meetings. Because if people no longer need to charge or refuel, what happens to the trillion-dollar web built around those actions? Governments lose fuel tax revenue. Companies lose recurring profit models. Even the idea of energy scarcity, the foundation of modern economics, crumbles overnight. It's not just transportation that changes. The entire global power structure begins to fall apart.
And then commence the resistance.
It starts with disinformation campaigns, fake videos, dangerous tech, unstable inventions. Experts flood media channels, claiming these cars violate the laws of physics. Social platforms quietly suppress hashtags like #InfiniteEnergy and #FreePower. But the truth spreads faster than control. Independent creators start replicating small-scale models, using open-source blueprints leaked online. A teenager in India builds a self-running bike. A group of engineers in Germany creates a magnetic energy cell that powers a car for a year straight. The revolution is no longer in one factory. It's in every garage, every lab, every curious mind. The system tries to contain it. But you can't stop an idea whose time has come. Meanwhile, major automakers begin their transition. Tesla announces Energy Independence Mode, a hybrid self-sustaining system combining motion recovery, ambient energy harvesting, and quantum capacitors. Ford follows with Zero Cycle.
Toyota unveille Kinetic Loop.
Different names, one truth. Infinite motion has arrived. In a matter of years, the very definition of a car transforms. No more fuel tanks. No more charging ports. Just sleek shells of mobility, machines that live, breathe, and power themselves like living organisms. The idea of refueling becomes ancient history. Future generations will hear the words gas station and ask, what was that? But beyond economics, something deeper begins to change, something human.
Énergie et indépendance d'OSNT juste richep industrie.
It reshapes identity. For the first time, people realize that mobility isn't a privilege, it's a birthright. In rural Africa, children travel to schools miles away without worrying about fuel. In disaster zones, rescue vehicles never stop running. In cities, pollution drops to nearly zero as the air clears and silence returns to the streets. Imagine driving through New York or Los Angeles. No engine noise, no smoke, just motion and quiet hums of infinite energy loops.
The cities feel alive again.
And while the economic elite scramble to adapt, humanity begins to breathe. But not everyone celebrates. For those who built their empires on scarcity, this new world feels like a threat. Oil lobbies push back with everything they have left: lawsuits, propaganda, false science. Old media outlets call infinite cars unstable, unproven, dangerous to human safety. Yet behind closed doors, those same corporations are secretly investing in the very tech they criticize, desperate to survive the inevitable. The irony is poetic. The giants that once controlled the world's energy are now begging to be part of the future they tried to bury. Meanwhile, researchers begin exploring the bigger picture. If cars can sustain themselves, why stop there? Factories powered by internal resonance loops. Homes that never need external electricity. Airplanes that run indefinitely on ambient power. Ships crossing oceans without a drop of fuel. It's no longer transportation that changes, it's civilization itself. Imagine a future where entire cities function as living systems, self-sustaining, interconnected, endlessly recycling energy. The boundaries between machine and environment disappear. This is not just about cars anymore. It's about creating a self-powered planet. Of course, the transition isn't easy.
The collapse of all industry leave millions jobless.
Entire economies must reinvent themselves. But with chaos comes creativity.
New fields émergent: ambi-energy engineering, autonomous mobility design, energy-free infrastructure.
Jobs evolve from producing power to mastering its flow. The energy war doesn't end, it evolves. Not about who owns oil or electricity anymore, but who controls the algorithms that manage infinite energy itself. Because once humanity conquers energy generation, the next battle will be over energy control. In 2027, the United Nations holds a historic summit called the Era of Self-Sustaining Systems. World leaders gather, not to trade oil, but to discuss how to regulate infinite energy.
Should it be open source and free for all?
Or restricted to protect global balance? Elon Musk takes the stage and says, energy was never the problem.
Contrôle-was.
We built walls around something that was meant to flow. It's time to remove those walls. The audience erupts in applause. For the first time in history, the world unites around an idea that transcends profit, limitless progress. But even then, some leaders warn, infinite power, if misused, could destroy everything faster than any weapon ever could. Because the same energy that can move cars forever can also power machines of unimaginable destruction. And that's the paradox of human evolution. We always build the key to our freedom next to the door of our own downfall. As years pass, infinite energy becomes the new normal. Charging stations turn into history museums. Gas stations become restaurants or art spaces. And children learn about fuel the way we learned about steam engines, as relics of a primitive age. Cars glide endlessly, connected in intelligent grids, powered by ambient resonance and motion feedback. Transportation becomes not a service, but a living rhythm of the planet.
No more exhaust. No more waiting. Just infinite movement.
But in that quiet, endless hum of progress, humanity faces its greatest question yet. If energy is infinite, what will we do with all that freedom? Because freedom without purpose can destroy as easily as it can build. The next challenge isn't how to power the world, it's how to guide it.